Hello, and welcome back to another installment of ENTP Life goes live on Wednesdays or whatever this is called. Just take a selfie, share this to Instagram, let them know that I'm live. And let me just give this system time to alert people that we are live. Yeah, you could skip like this first minute, folks. Whoa! What? This is... Okay, here we are. Now it's not going to cut off. Okay, perfect. We are situated here, and I am ready to start my spiel. Welcome, everybody. Hopefully, everybody had a good weekend. I sure as hell did. Was down in the Dominican Republic for the weekend. And it was really quiet, considering, the conditions, but it was good to kind of just get out of the routine, mix it up a bit. I was down in Punta Cana, and, just spent some time relaxing. So in today's installment of our live question and answer, I am talking a little bit more about investing in Italian real estate, especially that cheap €1 type of deal. For those of you who don't know, they are selling properties in Italy and in Spain for as little as €1, which equates to about $1.20 if you're thinking about US dollars. They're doing this because towns are shrinking, towns have lost their population, people are moving into the big cities, and the local municipalities, the government, they're saying, hey, we need to keep these communities alive and well, so let's do something to attract people back into the community. So they've incentivized some of the owners who have like violations on their properties, dilapidated properties, troubled properties, to kind of waive all of those things if they agree to sell the property for €1, with the caveat being the new buyer has to make all the corrections. All right. So for the person who owned that property, or even if it was abandoned, they can now market it, get someone who's interested in fixing these properties to fix it and help to liven up the community, hoping that, one, it will create construction jobs, two, it would do the work of the government so that the government's not paying to maintain these structures, ensuring that they're safe and whatnot. And the third thing that they're hoping it will do is bring life back to those communities, people who are coming there to retire, people who are coming there to live, especially creative types who have the means to see the potential in a dilapidated project or a raw piece of land. So that's what we're covering today. Earlier this week, I put out a video covering the top 5 lies that are shared in this community. And since my original video gained a lot of traction, I get questions all the time. And through those questions, I always get like misinformation. People who are from Italy misrepresenting the truth. People who have never gone to investigate, research, do anything related to these properties are sharing information that just isn't true. Some of these lies include that the number one, the biggest of them all, is that if you buy one of these properties, you get Italian residency. Now, anybody who's looking to enter the EU, whether it's for employment opportunities, just a different pace of life, as an American, it's not so much of an issue, right? I could go to Europe anytime I want, spend 90 days there, be on vacation, no questions asked, no visas, no problem. But if you're coming from some of the developing nations, they place restrictions where you might have to get a visa to go travel there because they're concerned with immigrants or travelers converting to illegal immigrants, and that's their method of controlling that. Not very nice, not very fair, but people who are from those countries particularly reach out saying, hey, I'm thinking about buying one of these €1 homes and fixing it up myself. Do you think me as a foreigner who doesn't have visa access, who may not even be allowed to travel into Italy will get residency from this because I heard you can. Biggest lie of them all. These properties do not guarantee you residency. All they guarantee you is a tax bill, okay? And the responsibility to repair the home. Those are the conditions. You take over the house, you repair the house, you get all the violations cleared, and then you start to pay taxes on this property. That's the promise that they have for you, and you promise the same. All right, that's the consideration. That's the trade. So please don't go out there thinking, "Hey, I'm going to buy one of these one-year homes and I'm going to get residency, etc." It does help you in certain situations. Like right now, I just heard, haven't verified it, so this may be just a rumor, but I heard that if you own one of these residents, then you can actually petition to travel into Italy to handle certain affairs related to your property that are considered urgent, right? So since you have a home there, you are returning home, but there's a gray area since you're not a resident. So I have to confirm this with the Italian embassy to see exactly would I, in my situation where I have a home that's under repair that needs my attention, can I travel into Italy on one of the COVID-free flights? If so, I'm out of here pretty soon. If not, then I'll report it back and say, well, that's not true, or there's more to the story than just you being an owner or you needing to close out your transaction or do a transaction as being sufficient to travel into the country while things are fairly restricted. So I just wanted to put that out there right from the beginning. That's one of the top lies. Another one that's pretty popular is that these are completely junk properties. In many cases, they are. In some cases, they're decent. They're going to require work no matter what. None of these are, 300, 400-year-old homes, oftentimes that have been vacant for a few years. So they have some problems, but some of them need less work than others. There are some that are completely shot. Like there's one in my video where I showed the entire thing was kind of caved in, but it wasn't necessarily caved in. They actually repaired the structural issues. They just didn't cart out the debris. The facade was done, so they made the facade improvements that the government required. They fixed the roof, but everything was gutted on the inside and just dumped on the inside. So all that was left to do was the electrical, plumbing, and finish work. But the facade and the roof were done. So you're halfway towards the remedy for that property. And then there's other properties that didn't have all that rubble in there, but they were worse because the facade wasn't done, the roof was in bad shape, and everything on the interior was disastrous. So there's different levels to the one-year home, and the main thing that's governing whether they're selling for €1 or not is the owner's willingness to sell it for €1. I could turn around and approach Valeria and say, hey, Valeria, you know what? I'm tired of maintaining this property. It's not working out for me. I really don't care about negotiations or anything like that. Could you just put it on the €1 list? She could put it on there and somebody would snap it up quickly because it's in good shape and it's still selling for $1. So the $1 is just me saying I'm willing to sell it for that price so that it's highly marketable, get this thing out of my hands, make sure that it's no longer my responsibility as quickly as possible. And that's the method. Perfect. Now that I've addressed those points, I really want to open it up and turn it over to you because this is what these Q&As are for me to kind of touch base, add a little flavor, add a little extra, information to the shorter video, and then answer your questions one-on-one so that the things that I missed out on in my videos or things that I just kind of touched over and didn't quite make sense to you, you're able to ask me and get that clarification. So what are the questions? Hey, what's going on? Ben, what's up? How are you? Roro Harris, what's up? Welcome. Rob Roman, welcome. Rob is looking forward to getting one of these properties. So when things open up and I have more information for you, I hope you make it happen. Axel. Axel Lar Gaispada. Axel Lar Gaispada. What's up? How are you? Where are you from? Lar Gaispada. Just curious, based on the name, I can't quite tell. It looks like it could be a Portuguese name, but I really don't know. So if you can tell me, please let me know. I'm always curious when I see names that I don't immediately recognize. I try to figure out where in the world are you from? What's the origin of the name? And do you know what the name means? Does it translate to something correct? Axel Lar Espada. You're welcome. Hey, wow. Sorry. Sergio Hetty. Hey man, have you been able to talk to any American that has used the super bonus? No, I haven't spoken to anybody who's used the super bonus themselves. I could follow up with Davo. I know he's been looking into it and talking about it because he has a few properties in Italy, his personal property and a few investment properties that he bought on the cheap. So I could find out from him if he's actually completed the super bonus yet. I'm in the process of getting my application done with Retire to Italy, Nicolo, that I featured here a few weeks or months back now. So we're getting my facade work approved and the super bonus. So if I don't find somebody, then I will be that somebody in due time and should be able to fill in some of the gaps on how the super bonus truly works and what the net effect is on your construction costs. Robert, what's up? Oh, perfect. Glad I didn't butcher that. Long sword. Ah, interesting. Long sword. Excel. I didn't know that. Good evening. Excited I caught you live this evening. Well, welcome. V Cubed Ventures. What's up, man? Glad that you're here. Let me know if you got any questions. Axel, I live in Dallas, but from Nicaragua. Okay, cool. Arismedi Azuna. Oof. Why would I put all that money in a house just to sell it for $1? Why would you do that? I don't know. People do all kinds of things. But if you just said, hey, I really don't care what I get for this. People sell things undervalued all the time for whatever reason it is. They just don't want to deal with it. Sometimes they give it away for free. So I guess, if somebody pumped money in and said, hey, you know what, this is just a waste of my time. I really don't care. Let me pay it forward and pass it on to somebody else for $1. They could carry the torch from here. Happens all the time. It happens with home-built aircraft, boats, regular aircraft. It can happen with homes. So, Larga Espada. Gotcha. Cool. That explains the name. Thank you. Are you doing any flips in North Miami? I want to start. Not yet. Actually, I've been slowing. If you haven't noticed on the channel, I've been slowing on flipping properties because the process kind of annoys me. So during this whole pandemic cycle, I have grown kind of bearish on real estate. The market has been going straight up for, at least in real estate, has been going straight up for the past 9 years. The stock market for the past 12. Artificially inflated by money being pumped into the economy. I see businesses kind of going under all over the place. Things just don't seem sustainable. So at this point, I've really haven't taken on new projects. I only have my project in Fort Lauderdale that's under construction and one in Middletown. That's only 2 going on at the same time. And at times I could have 5 or 6. I just signed a sales contract on the group investment property that we have in New Jersey, the Killing the American Dream course. And just to plug that, thank you. To plug that, remember, I have a how to invest in 1 to 4 family real estate program. Even though I don't think it's the best time to start your flipping career, if you are sure that you want to get started, it's a great course for you to learn how I go about flipping 1 to 4 family real estate. Primarily, I'm a buy and hold investor, and occasionally I do buy, fix, and flip. I go over all the details, review the lenders that I work with, how to analyze those deals, etc. So if you're interested in that, I should have a link down below in the comment section. You could check out my Killing the American Dream program. It's only $97 a month. And one of the things that I have in that program is every quarter I do one group investment, and it's invest and learn. So you actually get to put money into a deal alongside me. We all are partners in that deal. When the deal flips and sells, we share the profits. I don't do buy and holds in these groups just because it's too complicated and too little money to really share if you're just renting for cash flow. But the buy and sells make more sense. So it's kind of like a paid internship with the potential to earn. So if you're definitely interested in that, you make sure you check that out. Right now I'm doing a project in Coral Ridge, Fort Lauderdale. You could always email me at carl@solaslapierre.com. If you click my email link or whatever, you could get in contact with me, and I'll be able to walk you through the property, show you kind of how I go about finishes, wherever I am in that project. We can make a little walkthrough or a little tour of that. And if you have any deals that you're looking at, of course, you can send them my way, see if there's some potential there. But right now, I'm not really taking on new 1 to 4 family projects, and I'm not quite taking on larger developments just because of all these moratoriums on evictions and rent suspensions and all that crap. So I'm kind of staying still and seeing where the wind blows and where the opportunities are going to be. Spending a lot of time reorganizing my real estate company. My partner's coming on to take on a more active role because I'm focused mostly on my home healthcare companies and executing my roll up and venture projects. So for me, real estate is always going to be there. There's going to be opportunities. When the opportunities are too good to pass up on, I have a team to handle everything, so I could kind of initiate a purchase. But I just don't see the risk to reward being there right now to just take those chances. I'd rather move more and more into a cash position and hold still than be pushing and participating in like this late stage churn. Like, look at how prices have moved, right? Inventory is supposedly low, but prices have moved aggressively, and people are kind of chasing that, and it's kind of fueled by low inventory and extremely low interest rates and extra money being pumped into the economy. But that's always how it looks right before things go south. So the lenders are getting a little more friendly with their terms as well. So it's like all the signs to me have been pointing towards relax. And I've been saying this since last year. 2020 was just a completely weird year, but I think over the next 2 years, we're going to see, maybe even 3 years, pretty strong contraction. If not, then whatever. But I think that's where we're going. So long answer to a simple question. Sorry. Ben, this is Lao Buru. Lao Buru, but that's Benjamin. He's actually my video editor. So when you guys say, "Oh man, the quality is improving of the channel," it's a combination of my improving video capture skills and definitely Benjamin's editing skills. Yep, I know. Okay, so back to Ben. Have you asked if they have some restrictions with Airbnb business in Mussomeli? Is a town okay with the idea? No, I haven't asked because there are other Airbnbs in the town. So there's formal bed and breakfasts that are registered, and then there's another company called Mussomeli. They just restructured it. I've seen some other Airbnbs in the area. There's Airbnbs all over Sicily. I don't know what the bureaucracy is behind it. My real estate agent hasn't advised anything. I haven't. I haven't. Um, I kind of will figure that out later. So wait, did you buy the 1 euro house directly next door to me? Was that you? What's the address of your property? For the homes in Italy, does it cost much to fully restore a home? And if possible, what's a good educated guess of price? Okay, I would say a good educated guess on price is budget between if the house is in really bad if the house is in really bad shape, budget about $40 to $50 a square foot to get it fixed up and done. If the house is in mediocre shape, like the properties that I got, budget around $20 or so a square foot, $15 to $20 a square foot to get it renovated. I think in most places in Italy, a standard size property like 700 square feet to 1,000 square feet in some of these towns that are like featured the Euro homes, you could probably do for 30 to 40,000, decent shape, livable, kind of move in ready. You want to do fix and flip, you have a good contractor and agent. Okay. So what's the question? Send you the link. Is going to be down below. So ENTP Life / the link should be in the description. Killing the American. See, I don't know how this comes off when you're watching it live. If in the description section below it has all the text, the link for the program should be there. Killing the American Dream. ENTP Life. Bam. I just added it, so if you scroll down, it's there. Robert Williams asks, how difficult or easy is it to find good contractors in Italy and average cost to repair one of those homes? Well, I just answered the average cost. The average cost is always going to be related to the severity of the project. So if it's kind of move-in ready, broom clean sort of thing, you probably it's up to you, but you probably could get away with like 10 to $15 a square foot in renovations. It's going to get you painted, cleaned up, so a few little minor things changed and updated. You go a little more, like $15 to $20. You might be able to redo your floors, paint the whole house, maybe add a bathroom. You go a little higher. Now you're talking about new roofs, new windows, new plumbing system. So you could take it as far as you want to go, but I would say, average of $15 to $30 a square foot should be your budget. Let me see. Okay, and then the question with the finding a good contractor. Good is subjective, right? So for some people, good may be price. Others may say finish work. Others may say communication is probably the most important thing for them. For me, it's kind of a combination of all of the above. But you have your standards, right? And you have your perception of what's expensive and what's good quality. The way I found my contractor is I was walking around and I saw them working. I saw they work. I spoke to them. And then I ended up meeting the owner of the house. He recommended them highly. I trusted his opinion and I went with them. There's some good and bad with the contractor that I'm working with, just like with any person or service provider. Would I recommend him? Yes. Is he priced fair? In my opinion, yes. Communication has been fairly simple. And we've been managing a renovation via WhatsApp. So I think things are going pretty well. But when people ask me how to go about securing a contractor, the best thing that you can do is really know what you want to get done. Get a referral from somebody who's worked with a contractor, right? A personal referral. Go see the work that they've done and see if it meets your standards. Then interact with that contractor to understand what is his work style, what is his communication style, how does he want payment, are they annoying to you, right? There's some contractors that annoy me the minute I start talking to them. I'm like, I don't like this guy, and I won't work with them just off of that. I don't care how good their work is or what the price is. If they annoy me, it's going to just frustrate me. So all those things are the things that you have to consider. And when you have those in order, then you go get a referral, look at their work, talk to them, feel them out, and you make your decision based on what you've seen and what you've heard and what you feel. Who is better, LeBron or Jordan? Come on, man. I'm 38 years old. You already know the answer to that. It's Jordan. In terms of Airbnb, it's better to ask forgiveness than to ask permission. It is better to ask forgiveness than to ask permission. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think usually you get in less trouble when you ask than when you try to do something and then get caught. At least that's been my experience. Like starting real estate projects without the permits. When you get caught, that doesn't really that doesn't really work well. You get penalized on your fees, then they drag on processing your permits. I'm dealing with that right now on one project. Pamela G, I'm late to the party, so please forgive me if this is redundant. Do you plan on retiring as a nomad, e.g., multiple homes in multiple countries? Yes, absolutely. That is the plan. So yeah, totally nomadic lifestyle. I have some countries that I favor and that I might spend more time in. I do like the US, but there's a lot of things I don't like about the US. So I wouldn't make the US like where I spend the majority of my time, especially further out, because there's so many other places to experience and learn from. Retirement, I guess by definition, I'm already there. I totally could sustain myself passively. I just have more, excuse me, card full. Jesus. Give me 1 second here. Yes. Oh no. Don't worry. Just keep listening. Keep listening. Keep listening. See, I have to record. Turn back on. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Hopefully this card doesn't drop out so quickly. Yeah, so the retirement piece has already been achieved. I'm still working on a few more projects because I have some higher financial goals that I want to hit. But if I wanted to stop right now, I could totally live a really nice life throughout the world. It's just that I don't have enough money for my PC-12 or my Vision Jet, and I kind of need that. So I have a few more things to get done in the next 3 to 7 years, and then I can have my my official travel machine, because my plane now is a Piper Cherokee 235. Got about realistically an 800-mile range at top speed. But top speed is 150 miles an hour. So if I get the PC-12 or the Vision Jet, I'm looking at about 300 miles per hour. And if I get something even nicer, I could get there faster. But I like those two because they're single engine aircraft. So one engine, less fuel, less maintenance, less concerns. But yeah, that's gas consumption, which I said less fuel. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. But the fact that I want to live throughout the world and kind of bounce around is why I want a faster travel machine for me and my family, something that could hold, maybe me and plus five comfortably and go long distances quickly. So that if I want to go from Colombia to Brazil, Brazil to Argentina, Argentina to Chile, and circle all of South America, I could pick up and do that, as quickly as a commercial airliner. That's the goal. So the owning of multiple homes, I want to have 12 of them. Cliche, but I want one for every month in the year, so that if I wanted to, I could rotate every month. Really, realistically speaking, I'm probably going to spend the majority of my time in 2 or 3 places, and maybe just visit for like peak holidays or something like that in the other places. Kids' school schedules will obviously play a role into that, but that's the idea. No, I bought on via Santa Margarita Annunziata. Okay. Like you, I bought a habitable home, doing some work, but it's in great shape. Like you said, the amount I'd put into a €1 home was much more than buying ours for more. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, I'm just a bad reader. So how much did you pay for your property, and how much are you budgeting for repairs, and how much are you doing on your own? The only reason I'm asking that, I know sometimes people don't like to talk about money, but that's what we do here on this channel. We talk about money. So if you can give some insight to, well, how much you paid for your property, how much you believe you're going to be spending on that property, or how much have you spent so far, and then how many square feet or square meters is your property? Because there was questions today that were saying, well, how much could you expect to pay all in, or how much could you expect to pay for just the renovations portion? So if you could give me some insight, that would be great. For me, I'm settling in like between that $15 to $25 a square foot point, depending on the property. Remember, my little property, I completely redid a bathroom, redid all the floors, redid everything, and I'm closer to it's about 400 square feet. So I'm closer to that like $20, $25 a square foot range in my renovations costs. And that's just rough estimates because I haven't quite calculated everything just yet. And then the larger house, because I added a bathroom, I did the facades, but I didn't do as much work because it was just paint and stuff. I'm actually around the same. So please tell me what your figures are looking like. Dianico Basaldua Jr., welcome. And thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. What sort of information, what made you subscribe to the channel? Was it a certain video series? Was it Brazil? Was it Italy? Was it something else? What made you subscribe, and what do you like about the channel, and what do you dislike? I need that feedback. Everybody who's here, if you can, kind of just chime in what brought you to the channel, what sort of content you like, what sort of content you dislike, and kind of your whys to that, just because it helps me to refine the content more. I like to kind of just do whatever I want. But I know that a lot of people are here about Italy, so I'm trying to, satisfy that audience while satisfying myself. So please let me know. And if there's things that you feel that I should cover a little more of, like maybe more travel videos, or more aviation videos here on this channel, like really, I need to know. What region do you recommend for American digital nomads? Okay, I'm going to respond to that with another question. What? That's such a loaded question. All right. What areas? So the thing is, what matters to you the most, right? Are you looking to strike a balance between the most American-like lifestyle on a budget? Are you looking for the most anti-American lifestyle that you can imagine? What sort of expense do you want to carry? Um, I think that will help me kind of point you in what region do you recommend. But generally, I would say I like South America. That's probably my favorite region and most undervalued region that I've identified, and is also culturally similar and tolerable for Americans. And here's my reasons why. South America is relatively cheap. Most South Americans that are doing middle of the road are making $600 to $900 a month average, right? And they're able to survive on that, most likely as a couple. So on less than $2,000 a month in all of South America, you live a pretty comfortable middle class life. Argentina, Chile, Brazil, Colombia, Peru, you name it, you could find a nice apartment in a nice neighborhood for anywhere between any of those places, $300 to maybe on the higher side, $800 a month. And that's especially if you're single, because you're looking at studios, maybe one bedroom apartments. You're going to be down in like that $400 or $500 range. Meals are going to cost you an average of $3 per meal if you're eating out, and your traditional food, that sort of thing. Nicer dinners are going to cost you about $20, and that would be like 3 course and maybe one cocktail, 20, $30, compared to $100, $200 for equivalent in the US. A beer is going to cost you about 50 cents to $1 in most places. Another thing about South America that I really like is that I'm totally not a religious person, but the gods and customs are the same as the United States, right? The United States is a Christian country. So, you're going to have your Christmas, you're going to have your Easter, you're going to have these typical Roman Catholic or Protestant holidays. The morality is going to be similar, right? Because obviously a lot of the law was kind of based off of this religious influence. And then another thing about South Americans, they value way more than Americans. They value a good time. They like to have fun. They like to socialize. They like to interact. They like to live a pretty rich lifestyle, even though the cost of living isn't that high. The design of things is going to be similar and more familiar. The flavors are going to be similar, more familiar. So if you want minimal disruption, a change of pace, a change of like social structure, and not going too far off from America, I would say South America. You get good value in your money. Internet speeds could be a little sketchy depending on what city you're in. But yeah, my first choice is South America. I really like Colombia and Brazil. I haven't been to Argentina and Chile yet. Peru is cool because the food is freaking amazing and the landscape is pretty unique. But overall, I would say Colombia and Brazil are my favorites so far in South America. But please tell me, answer the questions that I had for you if you're still around. Roro Harris, decent. I'm thinking solar power would be dope. Solar power would be dope. I'm not sure what this is in relation to. I think I lost the conversation a bit. For an investment of $100,000 in an apartment of 3 bedrooms, 800 square feet, what is a good daily rate of return? Okay. I subscribe to the 1% rule like most real estate investors. So I would be looking for, if I spent $100,000 outright, I'd be looking for that property to generate $1,000 a month in rental income. And I'd be satisfied with that. Now, with $100,000 Personally, I would probably get more than one property here in the United States. Um, I could probably squeeze that, stretch that over 4 properties. And after I squeeze that over the 4 properties, I'd be looking to maybe make my same 1% on maybe $600,000 worth of real estate. So that way I'm making $6,000 in rent, and maybe my net cash flow ends up being higher than the 12% on the same $100,000, right? When we look at it that way. So, but short answer, shoot for 1%. If you make 12% or $12,000 a year, great. Obviously, you're going to have your maintenance costs and those sort of things. But that would be a pretty good rate of return because your break even would be about 8 years or maybe 10. Dianicio, how long to define time on finding a property from start to finish owned? I don't know what that question is, but I'm gonna try. How much time from start to finish in Italy or any property? If I'm doing a property in New York, gut renovation, I could probably get it done in 12 weeks. If I am doing a like mid-tier renovation, I'll probably get it done in 6 to 8. Light, I'll be in and out in 2 to 3 weeks. Sometimes 2. I've done projects in 9 days. But it all depends on the scope of work, size of the property, what we're doing. In Italy, whatever times I just gave you, double it. The pace is so much different than the States. But that's the answer. Hopefully I answered that. Planet America. Planet America. Cool. Hi, Carl. Can you fix the properties yourself? Yes. If yes, is there any inspection process after the fix? Depends on the work that you're doing. So I haven't had any conversations about permits or inspections or any of that. So I really don't know. I kind of left that up to the contractor to solve. But it seems like many other countries, it seems pretty, or developing countries Italy reminds me a lot of South America in a lot of ways, but it seems like pretty laid back. If you're not doing anything dangerous to the house, then kind of do what you need to do, right? You got to rerun electric. They don't have, 4 electrical inspections in between. Just do the electric and get it done. That's the way that it seems to me, at least. So there hasn't been a lot of bureaucracy there. Now that I'm pursuing the super bonus for my facade and roof work, there's bureaucracy in getting it approved, but there's still no I haven't dealt with any landmark designations or anything like that. I haven't dealt with, is this approved or not? I think if you change door locations, if you change the structural integrity of the building, then you start kind of getting into that area, or you're trying to make seismic improvements, right? Then you may have inspections, but I really don't know. I'm fairly clueless when it comes to what's happening over there, right? Like I said, I'm managing it by WhatsApp. I'm not there. I don't speak the language. I say I want it to look one way, and I pay my money, and I get a picture, I get questions, and then and that kind of continues in that pattern. But I could ask, and I'll follow up. I'll keep that in mind for when I do the follow-up video on how much things cost me and what my experience was like. And that'll probably be more than one video. So I could cover some of those details. And, good question. Were you lucky finding your house in Mussomeli price-wise? I don't think I was lucky, because when we looked at the premium listings, I only showed in the video, I only showed 3 for the sake of time. But I saw the 3 that I showed. One was $5,000. I bought that. The $8,000 one that I didn't buy, it was because it needed more work that I wanted to get into. The location was kind of weird. Couldn't get a car back there. It was too far from the square. And then it was on Santa Margarita. Yeah, that street. Then there was another house that was nearby that wasn't too bad, but it was kind of funky, but I didn't like it. There were quite a few premium listings, and I've met several people who bought the premium listings. So I think from that 5,000 to like $15,000 price point, there's a solid amount of inventory. So not necessarily luck, but like it's the better properties, better bang for your buck, always are going to go the quickest, right? Not better condition, but when looking at value, if you got like when I saw the 12,000 euro house, the one facing the cliff, I saw everybody's mood sort of like improve, and they were more like okay with the property. And from my experience, when I see that, I know what that means. That means people are contemplating making offers. However, none of those people were real estate investors. So I knew that they wouldn't make their decisions and move as quickly as me. So the minute that I walked out of that house, I told Valeria, I want that house. I'm going to pay the asking price. There's no need to negotiate. I want it because I just want to lock it up now. And then I did the same thing with my 5,000 euro home, even though I heard more complaints, more like, this is too small, whatever. It was cheap, 5,000. So I was like, no, let me get this one too. And then the work wasn't that bad. I could see that as well. So I think ultimately there still is inventory, and there's other cities. You have Sambuca nearby. You have Aqua Vita or something like that. It's the next town over, and they have these properties. I'm meeting with Chris from Super Savvy Travelers. She's doing projects in Calabria, which is in Italy, like mainland Italy, but just across the water from Sicily. I think that's where it is. And there's properties that are selling just as cheap. So don't think of it as like, oh man, Mussomeli is the only place you could go, and all these properties are renting out. They're priced this way because there's a good amount of inventory, right? Remember, supply and demand. The demand is what drives the price, and minimal supply drives the price even more. So right now, these properties are still cheap because the demand is low and the inventory is high. So I think you should be all right. John Leeper. Okay, I will ask again. I did put in a question, which for some reason is not seeming to show up. Do I have to pay taxes if I retire there permanently? When I do buy property and do not need to work? Do you mean, are you going to have to pay taxes on your retirement income? And are you going to have to pay taxes on your property? Because from what I understand related to your retirement income, let's just say you're retired in the United States. The US is going to tax your retirement income, right? And they're going to tax whatever income you generate. You're supposed to report your external income in the US if you maintain your citizenship, right? So let's just say you said, hey, I'm going to go to Italy. I'm going to retire in Italy. The Italian government, in order to give you residency, wants you to show them that you make like $2,000 to $3,000 a month passively. You're not going to be a burden for them. You can afford to live there. They'll give you residency. At which point, you could renounce your American citizenship if you're ready to do that, and then you won't have to pay taxes. And you also could just keep your funds in the U.S. banks and do all your transactions, from Italy, unless there's restrictions, like where you're spending too much or the debit cards and credit cards are not accepted, things like that. Um, I don't think that should be an issue. Now, the second piece to the property piece is that you could claim what they called prima casa, your primary residency. And I think for some property grades and property values, your primary property's taxes are waived. So, I, compared to what I'm used to in the United States as far as tax collection, tax payments, and the tax authority, things seem so much nicer over there. Even though people complain about European taxes, they seem pretty good. Things in the tax code is more flexible, I believe, in the U.S. if you're taking advantage of it properly. But I think you should be all right. Like either accepting the taxation and that's it, or renouncing your citizenship, unless you're collecting Social Security or something like that. I don't think renouncing would be in your best interest. But you should be fine if that's the case. But that's my answer. And ultimately, you could consult with tax professionals here that kind of specialize in that. I haven't gotten to that point yet where I'm consulting my accountant on this small slice of what I have, because I think it's going to always be negligible compared to everything else. But when I do have that question, I'll report back, but also speak to an Italian accountant. And, if you check out Nicolo, Ed retired to Italy, he's a chartered accountant in Italy. So he could and he's also worked and lived in the United States. So he could give you like his understanding of both. And he was educated here as well. So like went to accounting school here, or went to college here and studied accounting. John Leeper, I was told that if you use it as an Airbnb or rental of any kind, then you would pay taxes on the property. But if not, yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah. So, like I said, if you're claiming it as your primary residence, then you could waive that tax rate. And the taxes are low, like 600. Like my taxes are estimated to be about 600 euros. So I don't know, man. I got properties I'm paying 20K in taxes on. So to me, it just seems it's one of those small. I guess it depends on your situation, but if it's going to be a primary residence, you have options. And then if you really want to simplify your tax situation, then pay your U.S. taxes, be a good American and pay your taxes, and just live off the rest. The cost of living over there is pretty low. Permits are one thing. Apps are another. Think about Uber, Lyft. They didn't ask permission to work. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Do you need someone to manage your Facebook ads for your home healthcare agency for free? I have somebody who's managing it, and maybe one day, I don't know. I'm happy with who I'm working with so far. Damian Roberts, is Airbnb better in Brazil, Italy, or Colombia? Colombia spelled with an O. Colombia. Colombia with a U is the university, and the American way. The Colombians get sensitive about that. It depends. I think what's funny about it's a good question. All of those markets, in my opinion, are too inexpensive for Airbnb. Meaning, like this weekend, I'm putting out my video on Buzios, and I covered this in a little bit of detail. But I rented out a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house in a uppity neighborhood which is Buzios, and it cost me $100 a night. That property would sell for 300,000. The numbers just don't make sense to me at that price point. I have properties now that I have another property I'm renting. It's a 3-bedroom house in upstate New York, not in a tourist zone, just in Carmel, New York, and I'm getting $150 a night for that property, and I spent less than $300,000 on it. So I think I spent like 180 or 190, something like that. So when you look at that, and I cashed out for positive cash flow, just saying. Um, so when looking at that, I think like Brazil, Colombia, Italy all have the same problem. And another thing is like those countries are fixed to their local currency. So everything is priced to kind of fit. Just like when you go to those countries, taxis are kind of cheap. Cost of living is cheap. Food is a little cheaper. So the big you're gonna make less money. But if you go to bigger markets, New York City, LA, Miami, where hotels are expensive and Airbnbs offer a discount for more privacy and those sort of things, then you have value. Because I could turn around and rent out like my studio apartment. I rented out for about 120, 150 a night, right? And in New York City, where that property is, I could get a hotel room for $200 a night. And that's just a room. So somebody who's getting a studio with a kitchen with a bathroom who wants to prep their own meals and save about $50 to $80 a night will choose my Airbnb, and I'll still make money. So you might turn a profit of like $300. My Airbnb in Colombia is out of business. And I spent $80,000 setting that up. Meanwhile, my Airbnb in New York City, I spent like $11,000 setting up or something like that, and it's still going and spins off cash flow every month. So I don't think the Airbnb business is that good down there. I'd rather have Airbnbs in higher price markets. Maybe in Rome, you might do a little bit better. In Rio de Janeiro, if you had like a large bachelor pad that catered to that audience, it could do well. Same thing in Colombia. If you had a large 8-bedroom, 10-bedroom house renting for $1,000 a night because a group of guys want to be together rather than in a hotel, that could work. But the numbers just aren't that great. And then I'm almost done here because I'm hitting my hour point. JV, I'm part of the Tulsa remote program and would like to do Tulsa, Buenos Aires, and add an Italian city long term. 3 bases working only remotely. Which Italian location would you recommend to me? Man, I'm not an expert on Italy. So I got no opinion for you. In Italy, I'll tell you where I've been. I've been to Palermo. I've been to Agrigento for a day. I've been to Mussomeli, and I've been to Venice. And out of all of those places, if I were you, studying abroad, looking for a good value, looking to kind of maybe bounce around a bit, I would choose Palermo out of those options because Palermo's in the south. It's warm. It's cheap. There's an airport there that could get you throughout Europe. So if you want to just scramble for the weekend, you can. Or if you want to go to Rome for the weekend, you can. But you're keeping your base costs low. If you don't mind the drive, then you could go further inland to the island. Or if you want to try the other coast, you could go to Agrigento because that's the only places that I know. So that's that. Buenos Aires is really cheap right now. Things are fairly unstable there, so you could benefit from that. You could tango. You could eat awesome steaks if you eat meat. But in Italy, I'd probably choose Palermo just because it's got an international airport. that could get me in and out of that place quickly. The island itself is pretty cool, and Sicily in the south is cheaper relative to the north. And the weather, in my opinion, is better because it's hot. Well, if I see a palm tree, I'm in the right place. Carlo, once you establish a rental property, you sell it and move on. Not my strategy. I like to keep, Carlo, I like to keep my properties rented and producing a lot of cash flow because ultimately I get tax benefits from my mortgage interest. I get tax benefits from legal depreciation. I benefit from hopefully appreciation in the marketplace. I benefit from amortization of my debt, and I got the cash flow month to month. There's no reason for me to sell those properties. I don't sell my rentals. Wow, I'm into RVs and yachts. So Palermo. Rob Roman, and I settle with an old Vespa. Every case is different. Cool. But you really, thank you, man. Make it happen for yourself. And the thing is, what's cool, that's my favorite part about this channel is to kind of collide with other, not so typical people that are doing exciting things. So if I can motivate people to kind of like say, hey, man, this is something I would want to do, or I wasn't going to do it because I had a knowledge gap. And if I fill that knowledge gap and I motivated them or put the battery in their back or that planted the seed in their mind, then I win. And when I meet other people like what was her name? Allison? I'm sorry. I'm horrible with names. V Cube Ventures, I know, but yeah, Allison. I was correct. Okay. So with people like Allison that give me updates on, hey, I actually saw the video. I was interested and this has kind of been filling. That's always great because then it's kind of like good to know that I'm not too crazy. And there's other people who can identify with what I'm feeling and thinking and see the world from the similar view, that I'm not alone. So this feedback is definitely helpful and good. And I hope you guys find it useful as well. I'm gonna bang out the last few questions here. What? There's so many. Oh man. Yeah, there's a lot of activity here that I'm not seeing. Jesus Christ. All right, so Mussomeli. You appreciate my energy and transparency. Thank you. I subscribed for your background in entrepreneurship and vision. Okay. So vision, transparency, and energy, entrepreneurship. Okay. I'm 100% into Italy. There's a ton of traveling channels already. Gotcha. Because of the Italian real estate. Okay. Thank you. So this is all good to see. Okay. The question that I asked, 8,000 euros to buy, closing. 8,000 euros to buy, closing cost 2,500, 4,400 in work plus some materials, all contracted. Okay, adding a second full bathroom, moving kitchen to the middle floor, many other little things. The house is 80. Is this might have been the house that I passed on? The owners did the roof recently. It's catty corner from a church and has kind of like a balcony with a view if you turn out to the right. And it's kind of more like square triple stacked. There's a bathroom on the second floor. And on the third floor, there's the other bathroom. Not a bathroom, but it's just kind of like a closet that's stacked above the bathroom so that you could make it like it has the same water column. Is that the house? You don't want to be in a touristic area, so not American. Local feel is what I'm into. Check out Palermo. I think you would like Palermo because The city is large enough, but it's not like it's a city because of density and how it's built, but it's not like an American city by any stretch. And it's cool. I would say try there, and then obviously wherever the road leads you. What is the status of your taco in Italy business idea? I still think you should call it Tacotalia. Ah, grazie. I'm gonna write that. I'm gonna write that down. Tacotalia. I was gonna call it El Gringo Negro. That's my other moniker. Um, Taco Talia. Perfect. Can you delve into healthcare abroad for retirees? Healthcare abroad. Oh, okay, gotcha. What is healthcare like for the retirees? Right, that's something that I unfortunately don't think about just yet. But I'm sure it's on the minds of people who may have chronic conditions. Um, what's going to happen to me if I relocate there and I need care for the. I don't know what that is. Um, calling me at 9:20. All right, so yeah, I could try to do that. Healthcare for retirees. I know the healthcare costs in Colombia are pretty cheap, even for insurance and all that. A lot of countries, when you look at how their healthcare systems are designed compared to the states, and the cost of medication, the cost of care, it's so much cheaper, so much that I'm from Buenos Aires. Okay, so we'll be in Latin America 4 months per year for sure, but part of my family is in Bergamo. Gotcha. So I want to add Italy as my third base. I see. Gotcha, gotcha. Have you run into any blatant racism? Look, man, every episode we got to touch on this race thing. This stupid American concept. It's not exclusive to America, but it's a pretty stupid one. And it's pretty common, and it's definitely part of American culture. Racism, race identification. It's freaking stupid. Do not concern yourself with racism anywhere you go. Protect yourself at all times. Ignore people who have such a small way of thinking that they categorize and group people and judge people based on something like color. I actively do not fall into the race game. I wasn't the victim of any kind of blatant racism. Because what would be blatant racism? To me, blatant racism is trying to hurt me physically because of how I appear, right? Because of my skin color. I would consider that blatant racism. But then I would also consider that just a random act of violence as well. That could happen to you. You could be attacked just because whatever. You could be criticized, you could be ridiculed, you could be robbed, you could be targeted for any reason whatsoever. If for that person it was race, okay, that's what it is. For another person, it could be wealth, it could be pure insanity, it could be a thrill. Do not make any of your life decisions because of the category that somebody else puts you in. I think that's ridiculous. And that's all I'm going to say about that. V Cubed Ventures. We could move in now with no work except hanging kitchen cabinets, but we had a vision to make it even better than it is now. Also didn't want to cut through one bedroom, wanted them separate and I think this is the same house. I think I know which house you're talking about. It has I'm waiting for it. I appreciate the gems you drop. Free real talk. Thank you. I agree. I'm single and will be living in Buenos Aires for 1/3 of the year for sure, no doubt. It's such a fun city. Tango in the streets, beef heart on a stick. Yeah. Was wondering what areas in Italy would you target for cheap houses for an Italian base? The only areas that I know would be Calabria. Uh, Palermo is fairly inexpensive, but not like €5 cheap. You might be able to find something €5,000 cheap. You might be able to find a dilapidated project on the outskirts, maybe in a bad section. Um, Sambuca, which is closer to Palermo and closer to the coast. And they have dollar deals over there at times. So those are some of the areas. But I don't. I'm not. I can't say. I can't say I'm an expert. You know, I may come off as the authority because of the platform and that I'm covering this topic, but I'm not that far removed from you as far as you might be more knowledgeable of Italy and the neighborhoods of towns. I don't know anything. I just know Mussomeli, Palermo, Calabria, Agrigento because I've been there. Other than that, I'm useless. I lived in Buenos Aires for the whole of 2020 and loved it. I think it's a great place for a digital nomad. Yeah, and it's inexpensive. It's a cool like I haven't gone there yet, but I keep stalking it. I was actually supposed to go there this past January with my travel buddies. One of them being Sheldon, this guy who's in Brazil right now having a good time. Um, but yeah, so we were supposed to go down to Argentina. That was the trip for this year, and you know, COVID got us. COVID ruined it, like everything else. But yeah, I'm glad you give that feedback. South America is really good for digital nomads. You know, if you're earning in U.S. dollars and you have the flexibility to service your clients from anywhere in the world, South America is really good because it's really cheap. There's not too much of a drop off in quality of life, especially if you're earning in dollars. So you'll do just fine. So you could do really well with even less clients, less commitment to work. The pressure just changes. This is such a common thing for immigrants. You know, my brother's wife is Colombian and Ecuadorian, and when I told her mother that I was relocating to Colombia, she was like, "Oh my God, it's so dangerous. Why are you doing that? Oh my God." I'm doing it because I like it there, and maybe the things that made you leave, maybe you had trauma or bad economic conditions or whatever. You had your reasons, the same reason why I want to leave here, right? You were in pursuit of something else. I'm in pursuit of cultural experiences. I'm in pursuit of connecting with people again and not just being in this like commercialized, almost perfect utopian sort of weird racist country. Um, I don't know. I think there's so much more for me to learn about myself in other places that I have to go there. I'm not going to just stay in my American world and live an American life. I think that's boring. I think what you have done, which is pick up from your South American country, come into the United States, dealing with different languages, dealing with different culture, and making it here, making a life for yourself. I think that's such an accomplishment and such an experience that everybody should have. Really challenge themselves to move to another place. So, you know, I just want the same. I just want the same that you have. Cesar, have you ever been to Honduras? Yes, and I ate some iguana while I was there too. And iguana tastes like chicken. I've been to Honduras, and not really my favorite place to be. Had some issues with kind of what I saw. But then again, I went on a Disney cruise or some sort of cruise, Carnival actually. Stopped on the fake island, and I was like, I need to go kind of hang out with the people. So one of the tour guides that was trying to sell me on something, I paid him to take me and my partner at the time into town, and I wanted to have like an actual real day. I wanted to eat iguana. I wanted to do what people in Honduras do. And there were infrastructure wise, I saw some gaps. I saw some, like most of South and Central America, some huge income gaps. Um, and sometimes when those huge income gaps are too extreme or too condensed, even extreme and in a condensed space, you get some friction. So I don't know. I saw some. I felt I just didn't feel like it was for me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Vince Gaddis. We all are asking about Sao. We all asking about Sao Paulo. That's for Sheldon. You see, you scaredy cat. Look, Sao Paulo could be a dangerous city, especially if you are in a dangerous part of town. If you are a target because of wealth inequality, but it's also a pretty cool city, and there's also a lot of people who have escaped the danger right in their own town. Um, are you from Sao Paulo? Have you lived there? Is that where you're from when you say South America? Where are you from? And what has been your experience that has you so traumatized? How inexpensive or expensive is Pasi- Pas- Positano to live? And where is the most affordable city to live in? I have no idea. I'm not the guy to tell you. I came in late. I'm interested in Milan. Are you familiar with that area and how to find affordable housing there? And or who to work with to find affordable housing there? There is a gentleman by the name of David. David, his YouTube channel is I believe Dauva or the Davo or something like that. I'm gonna tell you. Yeah. The Dav his website is thedauvo.com. DAU DAUVO. And if you Google his name, DAUVO, he lives maybe 30 minutes to 40 minutes outside of Milan. He got his property for like $30,000. And then he's got some other properties. So if you're thinking about that, I think he might be one of your best sources. Via Santa Margarita and Mussomeli is what I was referring to. Pamela, have you been to Portugal? Not yet. I have to jump off, but I will watch the recording. All right, it's all right, cool. Be well. Hi, Carl. Is today's session about real estate? It's about Italy. Who is Valeria? How can I contact her? Email me. And she's my real estate agent, and I'll keep put you in contact with her, JV. Long sword, not a problem. I've been following you recently, and I have a lot of questions about starting an international nurse recruiting agency. I'd like to know if I can attend any course for that reason. Yes, I'm going to be producing. I'm actually in the process of producing a course now. Um, I'm thinking of names. Right now, I'm thinking about calling it Passive Workforce, ENTP Life Passive Workforce, but I'm still sorting out the name. Um, it's how to start a staffing firm, a healthcare staffing firm, and what tools to use, including the software that I sell. Um, so that should be coming out probably late spring. Um, so when that comes out, I'll keep you posted. Just stay tuned for that. Or you could just email me. Make sure you include you're interested in healthcare staffing or something along those lines so I could sort it out and keep you up to date related to that. As always, good to be here. Let's get going. Not a problem. Take care. I'm trying to get going too. Jesus. The questions keep coming in. Okay, the last question I see is from JV 933, and that's the last one I'm answering. This is my last question. Anything beyond that is not getting answered. Okay. Clay McLaughlin, what African city would you live in? Well, I haven't visited any African city, believe it or not. Um, but there are a few cities I'm interested in seeing. I'm obviously interested in seeing Cape Town, South Africa, Marrakesh in Morocco. Like to visit Egypt, um, Ghana, Laos. I have a few places that I want to go. I would like to visit Zanzibar. Um, so when I get there and I'm there, that's my time. I got to go there. I got to eat. I got to mingle. I got to drink. I got to interact with the people. If I can't drink there, I don't want to be there. Um, so if I can't have a drink in a city, then it's not a city for me. Even though I'm trying to cut back. I think that's part of my overall life experience. I need to drink, relax, and feel the city out. So when I know, I'll tell you. Um, VQ, maybe bathrooms on the first and third floors. No, it's a different house. Because I have a video where I do my tour, and I went to a house on Santa Margarita. I think, or unless you're on Santa Maria or something like that, but I thought it was Santa Margarita. Um, and there was a beat up kitchen on the first floor. You went straight up the stairs, and I think there was like a little bath area or something, or like a laundry room or something like that. Then the first floor had a bathroom right at the top of the stairs and a bedroom, and then the third floor had another bedroom and a little door for a bathroom. So maybe it's not the same house. Carl, a lot of people like your channel because of your knowledge and experience in real estate and healthcare. We don't see many black men as healthcare agency owners. We appreciate your channel. Cool. I think, like I said, I don't really go into race, and you could see it. Just look at the people in the audience. I've always been somebody who first objective was to identify as a good human being, and then I try to interact with other good human beings. That's it. Male, female, whatever your religion is, whatever your color is, race, whatever, sexual preference, it doesn't matter to me. So I don't really niche down to that. But I am a black person in America. I grew up here. I understand the racial tension, and I understand the value of identity and being able to identify with others who are like you, whether it's similar mindset, similar appearance. So for some people, like you're saying, it's good to see me as a black man in a position that you typically don't see here in the United States because of our history, right? So it gives hope to those people, no different than a little girl seeing a female commercial pilot. It gives them hope. It gives them insight that could be me too one day, right? Because women are obviously marginalized in our country. So I am myself for the channel to give inspiration to whoever needs it for whatever my interests are. And if I'm identified with because of color, great. If I'm identified with because of sex, nationality, heritage, um, opinion, business acumen, whatever, it's up to the person to grab what they can from me. I just don't try to. I don't like racism. I don't like how it's shaped our society. So I don't like to talk about it too much, other than to kind of talk about how to diffuse it and do away with it. So identify first as a good person. And if you know you're a good person and a smart person, then you start to like not consider yourself as what the popular opinion or public opinion may be of your negative race or your negative sex or whatever. So I try to like talk on that whenever race gets brought up, because I think that's the best way to do away with the bias within our world. So we are financially ready to buy a house in Italy. The next step would be to contact an agent and start seeing houses. If you're going to be buying a house in the United States and you're ready, your next step should probably be to firm up financing, get a pre-approval, know what you qualify for, know what your upper limits are, so you know how much money you have to shop with. North or South Italy? I prefer the South. If you could only pick one, North or South Italy, what would you pick? I pick the South. You want a bat cave in Italy? That would be kind of cool. I love your attitude towards racism. Thank you. It's really a stupid concept, man. And you know, I think it's kind of crazy. Happy Black History Month. Now, I don't know what to take of this, but I think Black History Month is absolutely absurd. I think it actually reinforces more racism, more us them narrative, because as far as I could tell, blacks have been part of American history always. Blacks have contributed in so many ways. The fact that you have to acknowledge that a black person has achieved or done well or recognize them for a period in time only says you are different than the main. It's freaking ridiculous. And I don't support Black History Month at all. I think it only creates a division, really, because what does that tell the 6-year-old Carl sitting in his classroom learning about Black history, learning about the marches in Washington, learning about Dr. Martin Luther King, learning that it wasn't okay to crap in the same toilet as somebody else because of the color of their skin? What does that say to the entire class? That there's a difference between those people and those people. And at one point in time, those people could own you. And at one point in time, those people could do whatever they wanted to you. They could restrict you, they could whatever. That's where all this crap begins. That's where we start learning racism. That first Black History Month freaking lesson. And I understand at some point it was an attempt to try to improve things, right? Because maybe things were so bad that something needed to be done. But really, think about what it does. It's it creates this unity. You know, I don't like it. Very well said. My father said, "Look for their worth as a person, not their skin color." Yeah. Out of Coco, I was looking into these $1 houses, but felt a little as a single black woman. What has been your experience as a person of color in a small Italian village? I don't go around thinking about how life is for me as a person of color. I really don't know how to answer that question. I don't have that thing going on. Um, so I felt fantastic. I felt like like a human being that was living an exciting life. Someone who was in Sicily for the first time, going to buy a $1 house. I was curious about the language. I was fascinated by the landscape. I tried to make friends with my non-existent uh, Italian. People treated me well. I treated people well. I drank alone. I hung out with a group of, what would be considered different people from all over the world, different nationalities, different sexual orientations, um, transitioning genders, everything. That was the clique I was with. So I don't I don't know. I just try to look for people who are nice to me and try to be nice back to them. I don't sit there and say, well, how am I being treated based on my skin color? How would you know if you're being treated differently? How do you know that that person is just not a jerk that treats everybody badly? But if you're going around saying, wait, I'm waiting for somebody to treat me badly because of my skin color, any sort of negative treatment that comes your way, you might attribute to your skin color. Like, oh man, they slighted me. They shorted me on my change. Maybe it's because I'm a person of color and they want to make me feel bad. They didn't take my order. Like, oh, here's something that's typical. I'm going to give you an example. And I'm only one question away from my final, right? And I hope you're here for this. So I go to South America, right? My friends have visited with me. I've traveled with them. Some of my friends are black. A lot, like maybe half, I would say, are black or would be labeled as black. And they kind of have that American trauma, right? That American race trauma. So they're looking out for signals of racism. Am I being treated fairly? I'm in a non-black country. Are people treating me differently? So they have this anxiety already in them, right? And it's created here. It's created in our households. It's created in our school system. It's created in our media system. It's something that's truly created and either adopted and accepted or rejected, right? But most people get modeled by society. All right, that's the background. So now you're in South America. In South America, service is generally slow. You may be in a cafe sitting at a table for 20 minutes before the waitress comes back to the table to ask you, would you like coffee? And you're in a coffee shop. After they do that, they might go off and have a conversation for another 15 or 20 minutes as you drink your coffee and come back and ask you, would you like to order something else? Or they may never even come back and you would feel neglected. Now, you may say, wow, man, they're treating me so badly and giving me such poor service because I'm a person of color. That's what it must be. Or you could say, that's pretty strange. They're pretty slow. I wonder why that is. Could be racism. Probably not, but it could be. Chances are it's just customary differences. In South America, you typically have to call on the waiter or waitress to tend to you because for them, it is rude to constantly hover and wait on you. Now, imagine what their experience is like when they come to a New York City restaurant where they're trying to turn over tables quickly, where somebody sits you down, asks you what you want, comes back 2 minutes later, asks you what do you want, comes back 2 minutes later, do you need help with anything else? Comes back, leaves a check on the table. For a culture where a night out for dinner, maybe 3 hours, because it's mostly talking and engaging and kind of nibbling and drinking a bit, to getting processed through an American New York City restaurant, for that person, it would feel completely obtuse and like they're being treated badly. So the point here that I'm making is do not, please do not first think that you're being treated a certain kind of way because of this thing called skin color or because of your sex or your sexuality. You may be, right? Because there's obviously idiotic people in the world that are going to do things like that. But don't default to that and don't go around waiting for it because then everything is going to start looking that way. So that's my little bit of advice. And my last question, JV, maybe off topic. Can you use FHA 203K loan to fix an REO? Of course. Some REOs, wow, burping, of course. Some REOs are give preference to first-time home buyers and require rehabilitation loans. So REOs are obviously like that program is designed to help reabsorb those REOs. And by REOs, she's referring to real estate owned by the bank or foreclosed homes, right? Like we throw around the term foreclosures. Foreclosure is more of a process. But when that foreclosed property that's been processed is now on the bank's books, it's real estate. It's now considered and labeled REO as real estate owned by the bank. So yes, you absolutely could use a FHA 203K loan on an REO, especially when it's in that like Fannie Mae first look period or Home Path first look period, because it's only opened to owner occupants. And an investor like me can't even bid on that property. So you have the first look to use your 203K. The property might be dilapidated. Only a rehab loan is acceptable in those conditions or cash. So yes. And that is it for tonight. As always, longer than expected because ENTPs can't shut the F up when they're talking about something that they care about. So thank you guys for taking the time out. If you haven't already, slap the like on this video. Make sure you like it. Leave comments in the comment section below. Share this with anybody you think can gain value out of the conversation, whether it's talking about Italy, race relations, our experience as world travelers, where to go, what to do, whatever the conversation was, whatever the focal point was for you. Please share this with anybody that you think can gain some sort of insight or value from this content. Let them know about us here at ENTP Life. Thank you for being a member of my community. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.